My name's Joseph Kidd. I'm part of the Marine Energy Wales team leading the development of the marine energy testing area. I've been involved in the sector for a bit of time and seen its ups and downs. So it's a bit funny being involved back at the kind of testing phase, but I think there's a real need for that, and I think META is quite an exciting part of the kind of jigsaw puzzle that we have in Wales, and I think it's an important building block. The META concept has been talked about for a number of years. I was involved in the early stages, looking at the potential for the project, and it's great now to be involved in helping push it forward now that the funding's been secured. Many of you will have seen one of the presentations Dave has given in the past at previous events, but what I'll do is provide a bit of an overview for those of you who aren't familiar with META, how we see it working in practice, the potential benefits, the progress we've made so far, and the key activities moving forward. So META is a development led by Marine Energy Wales, part of Pembrokeshire Coastal Forum, and we've been working closely with key stakeholders, the Port of Milford Haven, obviously, but also MEIS, who Paul will talk about that later. But as part of the Pembroke Dock Marine, there's a lot of very obvious synergies between these different projects. And it's all about supporting the growth of the marine energy sector in Wales. So META is a series of pre-consented and non-grid connected test areas in the Milford Haven waterway. So I guess that's quite an important point from our point of view. It's not grid connected. We're not directly looking to replicate the kind of things that are being done in EMEC or WaveHub. We're looking at it as a way of, as Alec alluded to, kind of building up those relationships between technology developers and the local supply chain, and kind of acting as a bit of a stepping stone to the demonstration zones where we're hoping we'll see commercial scale deployments. Big advantage that we see of the Milford Haven waterway there are areas that are sheltered but very accessible, and yet still representative of real sea environments. So you're probably aware that quite a lot of testing has already been done in the waterway, and so we've had Marine Power Systems deploying their scale device. Obviously had TEL doing a lot of work on the quayside testing and that sort of thing. And Wavetricity's device is out there at the moment. So those kind of testing activities is something we want to build on and help put that kind of framework in place to support developers with those kind of activities. So META's aims to de-risk full-scale deployments, provide a showcase for innovation of products and services, and add value to the UK test centre network. And the last one, that's supporting the enterprise zone initiatives. So, as Alex said, there's a huge supply chain in the locality there, with a massive amount of skills that I feel, even though we've been doing this for a number of years now, we're still not fully tapping into. So these projects are a way of pulling all that together, hopefully. So in terms of progress, we were very glad to secure £1.9 million worth of funding, and that's a combination of ERDF through WEFO, Coastal Communities Fund, which I think that money is originally from the Crown Estate, but then is fed through the Treasury and Welsh Government. But that's been a crucial part of it for us. That's all about funding to create jobs in the locality, and the Swansea Bay City deal, which you'll hear more about from Tim shortly. The first thing that Marine Energy Wales did was recognise that this is a sizable project. We do need the resource. So myself and Jess Hooper initially came on board, and we've got a project coordinator, Bethan, starting next month. So, yeah, we are trying to ramp up quickly. I know there's developers out there that are raring to go, wanting to use to use Meta, and yeah, we're trying to get everything in place as quickly as we can and work closely with them. That developer engagement and constraints analysis, so we've done a lot of that over the last year and a half, and that's been asking exactly what developers need in terms of the physical characteristics, in terms of the types of testing that they would want to do that maybe they can't do elsewhere. We've also been working with the port to identify areas that aren't going to interfere negatively with their normal activities. And yeah, we've come up with a number of areas that'll form the basis of what we're going through consenting with. But I should stress at this stage that they're all still options. There's still flexibility to move them or come up with other areas. So yeah, hopefully that engagement will be continuing. I'll quickly go through some of those areas. For those of you who are familiar with Milford Haven Waterway, you're probably familiar with the bridge across and Pembroke Dock itself. So there's a number of areas within Pembroke Dock that have been identified that could be used. There's a couple of jetties that people have expressed interest in using. There's quayside space for dip testing and things like that. There's also something called the pickling pond there, which potentially could be useful for people for component testing. So just to give you a kind of sky view of that, yeah, there's obviously a lot of potential there. The areas we've identified are outside of navigation lanes and any major port activity. So the other two options that I think have come a bit later on to the party are the developers have expressed an interest in areas that have a bit more of the resource to test their operation. So there was the northern one there is Dale Roads, which is the kind of general area where Wavetricity have had their device. The other larger one is Fresh West, which has had some interest from developers. A lot of good resource there, but the way we're going to look to do it is a kind of two-phase approach. So we're conscious that we don't want consenting to hold things up too much. There's quite a few of the activities that we can do without going through a full EIA. But these ones on the outskirts of the waterway, yeah, we will be going through a full EIA to consent them. So we've just put a tender on Sell to Wales for environmental support to go through that full process. The last thing I had on there was strategic advice. So I might have mentioned it before. We see ourselves being part of the UK network of test centres. Really didn't want to be duplicating work that's gone on elsewhere. So we've actually put out a tender for strategic advice with the intention of working closely with other test centres. Learn any lessons that they have, but also make use of all that experience. So the key activities moving forward, continuing that developer engagement. We're looking to establish a developer group to kind of formalize that and keep people up to speed as to how things are developing, but also make use of that technical input and feedback as things develop. Leasing and consenting, as I said, we've split it into two phases. Stakeholder engagement, so yeah, we really need to be ramping that up now that we have a bit of a better idea of the areas we're looking at, and start getting out and talking to those key stakeholders. And the physical characterization is something that we've been looking at. We've been talking to CCAMS quite a lot about surveys that they've done or potentially will be doing. There's a lot of data already within the port, so I don't think we'll have to be doing a huge amount of survey work, but certainly on the resource, that's something we have budget for, and we're conscious that if people are coming to use these areas with resource in mind, then we need to be providing the data that they can rely on. And the last thing there was establishing the kind of commercial structure, how people will engage with Meta, probably in a similar way to the way people have engaged with other test centres, but that's something we're going to be looking to put in place over the coming months. So I guess the key message is, we're getting things in place. Very keen to talk to developers about their testing needs. So please come and talk to us. Further information is available on the MEW website, and either contact Jess or myself directly. Thank you very much.